शरण धरे पछारे सिंधु बेच बस शरण धरे पछारे अब तो जीवन हारे अब तो जीवन हारे गोविंद हे गोपाल है चार प्रहर युद्ध भयो ले गयो मझधार चार प्रहर युद्ध भयो ले गयो मझधारे चार प्रहर युद्ध भयो ले गयो मझधारे नाक कान डूबन लागे नाक कान डूबन लागे नाक कान डूबन लागे कृष्ण को पुकारे नाक कान डूबन लागे कृष्ण को पुकारे अब तो जीवन हारे अब तो जीवन हारे गोविंद हे गोपाल हे गोविंद हे गोपाल हे गोविंद राखो शरण अब तो जीवन हारे हे गोविंद हे गोपाल द्वारका में शब्द भयो शोर भयो भार द्वारका में शब्द भयो शोर भयो भार शंख चक्र गदा पद्म शंख चक्र गदा पद्म गरुण लय सितारे अब तो जीवन हारे अब तो जीवन हारे हे गोविंद हे गोपाल हे गोविंद हे गोपाल हे गोविंद राखो शरण अब तो जीवन हारे हे गोविंद हे गोपाल हे सूर कहे श्याम सुनो मगरे रे मा पद नि दा कहे श्याम सुनो, शरण है तिहारे। सूर कहे श्याम सुनो, शरण है तिहारे। अब के बार पार करो, अब के बार पार करो, नंद के दुलारे। अब के बार पार करो, अब के बार पार करो, नंद के दुलारे। अब तो जीवन हारे, अब तो जीवन हारे। हे गोविंद हे गोपाल, हे गोविंद हे गोपाल, हे गोविंद। अब तो जीवन हारे, हे गोविंद हे गोपाल, हे गोविंद। No, no, no. Are you ready, Ryan? गाय करा मधुर स्वरे, गाय गरा मधुर स्वरे। हरे कृष्णा 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 हरे हरे, हरे रामा 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 हरे हरे। हरे कृष्णा 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 हरे हरे, हरे रामा 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 हरे हरे। हरे कृष्णा 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 हरे हरे, हरे रामा 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 हरे हरे। हरे कृष्णा Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama Hare Rama 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 Hare Hare गाय करा मधुर स्वरे गाय करा मधुर स्वरे हरे कृष्णा 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 हरे 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 रामा 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 हरे 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 कृष्णा 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 हरे 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 रामा 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 हरे 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 कृष्णा 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 हरे 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 रामा 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 हरे हरे गाय गरा मधुर स्वरे गाय गरा मधुर स्वरे ग्रहे रहो वन में रहो सदा हरि हरि कहो गए रहो वन में रहो सदा हरि हरि कहो गए रहो वन में रहो सदा हरि हरि कहो सुख में दुख में भूलो नहीं मुख से हरि नाम बोलो रे सुख में दुख में भूलो नहीं मुख से हरि नाम बोलो रे गाय गरा मधुर स्वरे गाय गरा मधुर स्वरे हरे कृष्णा 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 हरे 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 रामा 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 हरे 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 कृष्णा 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 हरे 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 रामा 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 हरे 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 कृष्णा 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 हरे 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 रामा 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 हरे हरे गाय गरा मधुर स्वरे गाय गरा मधुर स्वरे हरे कृष्णा कृष्णा हरे 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 रामा 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 हरे 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 कृष्णा कृष्णा हरे 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 रामा 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 हरे 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 कृष्णा Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Gai Gara Madhur Sware, Gai Gara Madhur Sware, Maya Jal Badaye, Virtahi ke Kajaliye. Maya Jal Badaye, Virtahi ke Kajaliye. Abhiman तुझे ठोकर राधा माधव नाम बोलो रे. अभिमन तुझे ठोकर राधा माधव नाम बोलो रे. गाय गरा मधुर सरे, गाय गरा मधुर स्वरे. हरे कृष्णा 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 हरे हरे, हरे रामा 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 हरे हरे. हरे कृष्णा 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 हरे हरे. हरे रामा 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 हरे हरे. हरे कृष्णा 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 हरे हरे. हरे रामा 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 हरे हरे. गाय गरा मधुर स्वरे, गाय गरा मधुर स्वरे. अब तो जीवन हुआ शेष, भजा नहीं ऋषि के. अब तो जीवन हुआ शेष, भजा नहीं ऋषिकेश. भक्ति बिनो उपदेश नामे मत हो बोरे. भक्ति बिनो उपदेश नामे मत हो बोरे. गाय गरा मधुर स्वरे, गाय गरा मधुर स्वरे. हरे कृष्णा 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 हरे हरे. हरे रामा 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 हरे हरे. हरे कृष्णा 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 हरे हरे. हरे रामा रामा हरे हरे. हरे कृष्णा कृष्णा हरे हरे. हरे रामा रामा हरे हरे. हरे कृष्णा कृष्णा हरे हरे. हरे रामा Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Gaye Gara Madhur Sare, Gaye Gara Madhur Sare. Okay, okay, yeah, that's okay. The thing is, we don't have any mridang player, good ones. So who can play? Who can?
Learning not very good, but he can try because he sometimes plays with me.
Let's try.
Yeah, so Suraj, so we will wait for the yes, I will get for it just one new family. Yes, yes, yes. I'll just text. Sure, sure, sure. No problem.
Okay, that's okay. Let's see how this young man does. You got it? You got the rhythm we are going to play? Sit down. Hmm?
I think that rhythm works well on fiber mode.
Hmm?
I think that rhythm works well on fiber mode.
Oh no, you try it.
I don't think I've got it.
Let's try. If it's not working out, then you wait. Okay, we'll wait for fiber then.
I haven't learned that yet.
Okay, okay, okay. That's okay. Then you listen. Okay. Next time, be ready.
Take this back. That's okay.
Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare everyone, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare. Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare. Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare. Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare. Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare. Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare. Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare. Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare. Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare. Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare. Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare. Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare. Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare. Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare. Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Last time.
Hare Krishna. Thank you. Hare Krishna. Is it a little dark or no, it's okay? I Hare Krishna. So I welcome all of you for today's evening program on Bhagavad Gita. And I am so grateful and thankful for our hosts today, Aditi Mataji and Ankit Prabhu, and their mother, and Aditi Mataji's mother. Thank you so much. I think let's give them a big round of applause. Thank you. Thank you for opening the doors of your heart and your home to have this beautiful satsang. Before I get started, I see few newcomers and few younger members in the audience. So I know a few of them. I know Sudevi Mataji. I know Bhumika Mataji. I know Ayushi Mataji here. But you can just introduce from here. You can do, yeah. Jyoti, Hare Krishna. Jyoti, thank you for coming. Hare Krishna. I see. Okay. You know, I know you. So, Mataji. Revati. Jaymati. Hare Krishna. And
Akanksha, Hare
Akanksha.
Krishna.
Hare Krishna. And those are your children? Okay.
Near.
How do you spell that?
Neer.
Near. Very nice.
Avant. Avant.
Avant. You have to spell it for me. I'm sorry.
Avant.
Avant. Very nice. Very nice. Very well. And Nihar, Hare Krishna. Then I know Praveen. Suresh, Hare Krishna. Are you related here anywhere? Oh, yeah. Acha. Very nice. Who else? I can't see if there is anybody else there. I see. And you're Saroj. Yes, of course I met you. And of course I know my good friend Srivas. So before we start, I request everybody to have a copy of Bhagavad Gita. So I know they will be given to you shortly. They are there here. And on that note, if I also can get one hard mount, please. Thank you. So today, what we will do is we'll read the Hare Krishna Mataji. We'll read the first chapter of Bhagavad Gita because youngsters like Neer and Avant, correct? Yes, they will be like, "What am I doing here?" That will be a question on their mind, and at least we should see what Bhagavad Gita has in for them, so we can get started. Is that okay? All right. But before we start, Bhagavad Gita is a transcendental subject matter. And so we offer some prayers to invoke the blessings of the Lord on us so that we can understand Bhagavad Gita. And I forgot to mention my very good friend Namsmaran Prabhu as well, Hare Krishna. And very nice Kirtan. Yes, Navdeep. Tiny. Now, yes, how can I forget? Thank you. So before we start, if you see the introduction, there is some special prayers that we offer. You don't have to follow with me, but it is to invoke benedictions, and then it's on introduction on page 1. If you try to get page 1, and those who do not have, it's in the introduction. If you can look up here. Everybody there? Just if you grab the introduction. All right. ॐ अज्ञानतिमिरन्दस्य ज्ञानाञ्जनशलाकया चक्षुरुन्मिलितं येन तस्मै श्रीगुरुवे नमः। श्रीचैतन्यमनोभीष्टं स्थापितं येन भूतले स्वयं रूप कदा मह्यं ददाति स्वापदान्तिकं। वन्देऽहं श्रीगुरोः श्रीयुतापदकमलं श्रीगुरून् वैष्णवांश्च श्रीरूपं साग्रजातां सहगणा रघुनाथान्वितं त्वं सजीवं साद्वैतं सावधूतं परिजनासहितं कृष्णचैतन्यदेवं श्रीराधा कृष्णपदान् सहगणा ललिता श्रीविशाखान्वितंश्च हे कृष्ण करुणा सिन्धो दीनबन्धो जगत्पते गोपेश गोपिका कान्ता राधाकान्ता नमोऽस्तु ते तप्तकाञ्चन गौराङ्गी राधे वृन्दावनेश्वरी वृषभानुसुते देवी प्रणमामि हरिप्रिये वाञ्छाकल्पतरुभयश्च कृपा सिन्धुभ्य एव च पतितानां पावनेभ्यो वैष्णवेभ्यो नमो नमः। जय श्री कृष्ण चैतन्य प्रभु नित्यानंद श्री अद्वैता गदाधर श्रीवासदि गौर भक्त वृंदा। हरे कृष्णा 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 हरे 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 राम 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 हरे 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 कृष्णा 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 हरे 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 राम 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 हरे 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 कृष्णा 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 हरे 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 राम 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 हरे हरे. So let's jump right into the verse number 1. I'll do the Sanskrit. So what I ask, and also I welcome those who are online. My apologies, I did not mention earlier because it just slipped my mind. So all those who are online, please welcome. I don't know, Praveen, how many are there online, but all right. Okay, do we know the names?
Hare Krishna, Prabhuji. Sita is here.
Haribo,
Hare Krishna, Prabhuji.
Haribo, Hare Krishna, Sita Venu. And Ruby, you said? Hare
Yes.
Krishna, Ruby. Haribo, Ruby. All right. So let's open page 31. And this is verse number 1. Okay, here is two options. You can follow I can do the Sanskrit, you can do the verses, or I'll just do the Sanskrit and you'll do the English. So you can, one of you can do the translation and then pass the mic. If not, just point to the next person who can do it. Okay. So just want to do the translation. All right. Dhritarashtra uvacha धर्मक्षेत्रे कुरुक्षेत्रे मम वेतायुत्सव मामका पाण्डवाश्चैव किमकुर्वत संजय. My request is start with the younger members of the audience. Suraj is also there. So we can start with them and he can call him. So Nihar, we have all the high schoolers. So just to do the translation, Avant. All right.
Just the translation.
Yeah, you can start Nihar and then you can give the next one to Avant.
Dhritarashtra said, O Sanjaya, after my sons and the sons of Pandu assembled in the place of pilgrimage at Kurukshetra, desiring to fight, what did they do?
Thank you. Text 2. Sanjaya uvacha दृष्ट्वा तु पाण्डवानीकम् व्यूढं दुर्योधनस्तदा आचार्यमुपसङ्गम्य राजा वचनमब्रवीत्.
O king, after looking over the army arranged in military formation by the sons of Pandu, King Duryodhana went to his teacher and spoke the following words.
Thank you. Text 3. Is this good or should I do only Sanskrit? You decide whatever you want me to do. We can do both? Okay. Yeah, it's always good to get the vibrations going. Text 3. पश्यैतां पाण्डुपुत्राणाम् आचार्या महतीं च मूम् ह्यूडां द्रुपदपुत्रेण तव शिष्येण धीमता.
O my teacher, behold the great army of the sons of Pandu, so expertly arranged by your intelligent disciple, the son of Drupada.
Thank you. Just to add here, in those days, it was not like army didn't mean that you could sit in an air-conditioned room and man your like video games, unmanned vehicles are going and boom, 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 dropping bombs. It was actually you had this thousands of people and you had to arrange them in a military arrangement so that it's a fight and the opposing parties. Text 4. अत्र शूरा महेश्वासा भीमार्जुनसमायुधि युयुधानो विराटश्च द्रुपदश्च महारथः.
Here in this army are many heroic bowmen equal in fighting to Bhima and Arjuna, great fighters like Yuyudhana, Virata, and Drupada.
Thank you. Now, if there are no more younger members, if Ryan is like not too inclined to read, then we can ask somebody else. दृष्टकेतुश्चेकितानः काशीराजश्च वीर्यवान् पुरुजित्कुन्तिभोजश्च शैब्यश्च नरपुङ्गवः.
There are also great, heroic, powerful fighters like Drushketu, Sikitna, Kashi Raja, Purujit, Kunti Bhoja, and Saibhya.
Thank you. युधामन्युश्च विक्रान्ता उत्तमौजाश्च वीर्यवान् सौभद्रो द्रौपदेयाश्च सर्व एव महारथः.
There are the mighty Yudhamanyu, the very powerful Uttamauja, the son of Subhadra, and the sons of Draupadi. All these warriors are great chariot fighters.
Thank you. Take 7. अस्माकं तु विविष्टाये तान्निबोधा द्विजोत्तमा नायका मम सैन्यस्य संज्ञार्थं तान् ब्रवीमि ते.
But for your information, O best of the Brahmanas, let me tell you about the captains who are especially qualified to lead my military force.
Thank you. When you are doing the Sanskrit, turn off the mic. Grateful. Text. Thank you, Mata. Text 8. Bhavan bhismascha karnascha कृपश्च समितिं जयः अश्वत्थामविकर्णश्च सौमदत्तिस्तथैव च.
There are personalities like you, Bhishma, Karna, Kripa, Ashwathama, Vikarna, and the son of Somadatta called Bhurishrava, who are always victorious in battle.
Thank you, Mata. Text 9. Anye cha bahava shura madarte tyaktva jivitaha nana shastra praharanaha सर्वे युद्धविशारदाः
There are many other heroes who are prepared to lay down their lives for my sake. All of them are very well equipped with different kinds of weapons and all are experienced in military science.
Thank you, Bhumika Mata. Text 10. अपर्याप्तं तदस्माकं बलं भीष्माभिरक्षितं पर्याप्तं त्विदमेतेषां बलं भीमाभिरक्षितम्.
Our strength is immeasurable, and we are perfectly protected by grandfather Bhishma, whereas the strength of the Pandavas and carefully protected by Bhishma is limited.
Thank you. अयनेषु च सर्वेषु यथा भागमवस्थिताः भीष्ममेवाभिरक्षन्तु भवन्तः सर्व एव हि.
All of you must now give full support of grandfather Bhishma as you stand at your respective strategic points of entrance into the phalanx of the army.
Thank you. Text 12. तस्य सञ्जनयन् हर्षम् कुरु वृद्धः पितामहः सिंहनादं विनद्योच्चैः शङ्खं दद्मौ प्रतापवान्.
Then Bhishma, the great valiant grandsire sire of the Kuru dynasty, the grandfather of the fighters, blew his conch shell very loudly, making a sound like the roar of a lion, giving Duryodhana joy.
Thank you. ततः शङ्काश्च भैर्यश्च पनवानकगोमुखाः सहसैवाभ्यहन्यन्त सशब्दस्तु मुलोऽभवत्.
After that, the conch shells, drums, bugles, trumpets, and horns were all suddenly sounded, and the combined sound was tumultuous.
Thank you. ततः श्वेतैर्हयैर्युक्ते महती स्यन्दने स्थितौ माधवः पाण्डवश्चैव दिव्यौ शङ्खौ प्रदद्मतुः.
On the other side, both Lord Krishna and Arjuna sang stationed on a great chariot drawn by a white horse, sounded their transcendental counsels.
Text 15. पाञ्चजन्यं हृषीकेशं thank you. पाञ्चजन्यं हृषीकेशो देवदत्तं धनञ्जयः पौण्ड्रं दद्मौ महाशङ्कं भीमकर्मावृकोदरः.
Lord Krishna blew his conch shell called Panchajanya. Arjuna blew his the Devadatta, and Bhima, the ferocious eater and performer of Hercules' tasks, blew his terrific conch shell called Poundra.
Thank you. Anantavijayam Raja Kuntiputro Yudhishthiraha Nakulaha Sahadevascha Sughosha Manipushpakau Kaschascha Parameshwasa Shikandi cha Maharataha Drishtadyumno Viratascha Satyakischa Parajitaha Draupado Draupadeyascha Sarvashah Prithivipate Saubhadrascha Mahabahu Shankan Dadnu Pratak Pratak.
King Yudhishthir, the son of Kunti, blew his conch shell, the Anant Vijay, and Nakula and Sadev blew the Sughosha and Manipushpaka. That great archer, the king of Kashi, the great fighter Shikhandi, Drishtadyum, Virat, the unconquerable Satyaki, Draupad, the sons of Draupadi, and other, O king, such as mighty armed son of Subhadra, all blew their respective conch shells.
Thank you. Saghosho Datra Rashtranam Hridayani Vyadaraya Nabhascha Prithivim Chaiva Tumulobhyanunadayan.
The blowing of these different conch shells became uproarious, vibrating both in the sky and on the earth. It shattered the hearts of the sons of Dhritarashtra.
Ankit, you didn't get a chance to read. You can read the last one and we can stop and discuss. Atha vyavasthitan drishtva Dhartarashtran kapidvajah Pravritta shastra sampate Dhanurudyamya pandavah Rishikesham tada vakyam Idam aha mahipate.
At that time, Arjun, the son of Pandu, seated in the chariot bearing the flag marked with Hanuman, took up his bow and prepared to shoot his arrows. O king, after looking at the sons of Dhritarashtra drawn in military array, Arjun then spoke to Lord Krishna with these words.
Thank you. Who didn't get a chance to read yet? Okay, I will come. I'll come to that point. Next they can read. So for those who are unfamiliar with the settings of Bhagavad Gita, the story of Bhagavad Gita or the Kurukshetra war started or occurred 5,000 years ago. And the point to which it came was that for those who are really unfamiliar, please forgive me for those who are familiar. So we had the history of the Kuru dynasty, where it started off with King Shantanu, and then from there came Bhishma. And from Bhishma, because of certain circumstances, there were 3 children born in the dynasty. Of course, there was no succession or heir to the dynasty. So they had to, 3 children were born, which was Dhritarashtra, who is one of the characters that is mentioned here. And then there was Pandu, and then there was Vidura. Vidura was born of a maid servant for the queen. So he was disqualified from taking on to the throne. Now Dhritarashtra was born, and we can get into the circumstances later. There are plenty of stories in Mahabharata. But Dhritarashtra was born blind. Congenitally, he was visually challenged in modern world, so modern speak. And because of that, he was disqualified from ascending the throne, even though he was the eldest son of and of apparent succession. And his younger son Pandu, he is called Pandu because he had a pale skin. And then he ascended to the throne. But some reason or other, the king Pandu had 5 children, the 5 virtuous princes, who were Yudhishthir, Bhima, Arjuna, Nakula, the twins, Nakul and on the other hand, Dhritarashtra, he had 100 children, and they headed by Duryodhana, Dushasana. They were right from the beginning very envious of the younger or the Pandavas. Now, please bear in mind that Yudhishthir was born eldest. He was the eldest amongst those. And for then again, there is a big story on why Pandu died. He died, but Dhritarashtra became the king. And when Dhritarashtra became the king, please understand exactly kings in those days were meant to administer. It doesn't matter which part of time we are in. Kings in those days were to administer for the whole nation. In the modern context, you can see it's a terrible thing in this country. There is Republicans and there is. And then if the Democrat becomes a president, then Republicans are neglected. And if the Republican president becomes, then the Democrats are neglected. And in that way, you can always see there is this split mentality, my party, right? And same the way, the very first verse of Bhagavad Gita is Dhritarashtra. Now Dhritarashtra, because he was blind, he couldn't shoot arrows. Now, can you ask a blind person to join the army? I mean, you can join, but it was an interesting thing, you know. One of the generals was challenged. He was challenged that your army is discriminating. Army is actually not giving chance to those, for example, who are handicapped, in sense like, you know, physically challenged, who are mentally, you know, right, you know, where you get certain privileges. Yes or yes, you have certain you know, you are physically challenged, you get those license plates, the boards where you can actually park in the visually challenged or the, you know, physically challenged section, right? But the general was asked, why is not army giving the chance to all these people? And the general said, when you fight the battle, there is no question of you know, having these considerations. You would just, the war is such that you have to give the best, irrespective of who they are. And you cannot have an army which has anything less than the best. Does that make sense? I mean, if you take another example, God forbid, if you have to go to a surgeon for some procedure, will you kind of say, oh, is this surgeon, how is ethically, you know, we have a diverse culture going on here? Is that, no, you need the best person to do the operation, yes or yes. Same thing to go, you know, tomorrow if Neer and Avant go to the schools in the country, and may you get in the good schools, but you won't consider like all these things. You will want to go to the best schools. So Dhritarashtra was not fighting the battle because he was visually challenged. And his secretary, who was Sanjaya, he got the power, rather he got the access to the handheld device. I'm making a modern context that could transmit what was going on the war. And he was able to tell to the king what was going on, because he got a special, you can say, rights to see what was going on. And that's the reason Dhritarashtra asks the question to Sanjaya that Dharma Kshetre Kurukshetre Mama Veta Yuyutsavaha Mamakaha means my sons, Pandavaschaya, their sons. Exactly, Democrats and Republicans. My sons and the sons of Pandu. What did they do? Please understand that Dhritarashtra was the king for the entire world. He couldn't discriminate, but you can see the mentality of how, you know, my sons. This party, when you are a king, tomorrow, you know, people, you kids will take on important positions, who knows? and then you have to administer for the whole country, whole company or a country or a county or whatever, right? You cannot simply say, I'm a CEO of a company, I like only salespeople because they bring me money. You engineers are useless. HR, totally useless. You can't say that. Every job has its own responsibility. But when you have that party division, you really demotivate kids. A good management principle. Once you get into management, the only job is to kind of keep everybody happy. That's it. Whether you have technical skills, whether you have, the finesse, or the doesn't matter. So he asks, then we can see after this there is a list of description, because when you get into the battle, you have to estimate your strengths and weaknesses. Whether you are starting a business, whether you are getting into a school, you can just have to see, what are my strengths and weaknesses, and how can I kind of get into this. So Duryodhana explains to his teachers that what is the strength of the army and what is the strength of my army and their army. And then in those days, the modern context, the wars are so tough. I mean, if you look up, I don't know, did you ever bother to look into the Navy SEALs Hell's Week? Do you hear of them? Look it up sometimes. The Hell's Week in the SEALs training, the Navy SEALs undergo what is called the training, very rigorous training. But the worst part of that training is called Hell's Week. You look it up in Google. For 1 week, you are pushed to the extreme limits of what a human can do. You barely survive on 2-3 hours of sleep every night. You get up in the morning, one day you're asked to pick up a log, you have to go swim across you look up Hell's Week. It will give you an idea of what the soldiers train for, especially the elite Navy SEALs train for in this. Why? In the previous days, they didn't have to train this hard. They had to train the weapons. Understand here, the warriors that were on the battlefield of Kurukshetra, they could fight unlimited. Some could fight unlimited people at once. Some could fight 10,000 warriors at once. They had skills, super skills, human Superman in the modern context. But the modern context, the soldiers are having did anybody hear of soldiers having post-traumatic stress syndrome? Did anybody hear? Or why? Because in the modern context, in the battlefield of Kurukshetra, it is mentioned, the war started when the bugles were blown. You hear that the bugles were blown, right? The sounds of conch shells and everything is mentioned. Why is it? Because the soldiers knew that war would begin now. And in the evening when the war was done, again they would be blowing the conch shells. All the soldiers will know the battlefield is done. I can go back to my tent, and I can even go back to the enemy soldier. They would do that. They would go to the enemy camp. They would enjoy a meal together. On the daytime, please understand, the ferocity was no way less. In the daytime, they would fight to kill. It was Hare Krishna, Sukeshwari Mataji, thank you for coming. They would fight to kill. That in the daytime, there was no mercy shown. But in the evening, they forgot. It was a camaraderie of the highest proportions. And that's the reason there was no post-traumatic syndrome, stress syndrome among soldiers. In the modern context, the soldiers don't know when they are going to be shot, when they were going to step on a landmine, when they are going to be maimed. It's a horrible situation. But that was not during Mahabharata time. So the bugles were sounded. That's the indication of why the bugles were sounded. And then, so that is setting the scene. So far, so good. Questions, comments on why this happened. And all the soldiers were assembled in this huge arena. 3.9 million soldiers assembled. I have a funny thing. Somebody sent me a video clip of some famous guru. He said that Krishna couldn't prevent this war of Kurukshetra. He was a failure. But we worship him still as the Lord because he was very playful throughout his life. I was like, anyways, it's okay. But the idea is, Krishna was not a failure because he didn't prevent the Mahabharat war. He wanted it to happen. And we'll come to that point on why he wanted it to happen. But so far, so good. We are all okay. Is everybody comfortable? Yes.
Hare Krishna. So, Prabhuji, you mentioned about post-traumatic stress syndrome faced by this army soldiers. So, you mentioned that the conch shells are blown in the beginning and at the end of the. So, how was it connected, Prabhu?
To the post-traumatic syndrome?
Yeah.
Because in the modern context, the soldiers don't have a starting and beginning of the war. When you are on a war, you are on a war. You sleep at places which are like anywhere. You are night vigil, daytime. There is no timetable on when you are going to fight or not going to fight. That's why, and the other thing is this: in the previous times, there were 4 classes of people. The Brahmanas were the priestly class, the Kshatriyas who were the warrior class. They were naturally inclined to fight. They relished the prospect of fighting. They relished the war that is about to begin. And it was not, they were, and you know what was their pride? The pride were the scars they would incur in the battle. In fact, it is mentioned in those days, the soldiers' worst nightmare was to have the scar in the battlefield on your back, which means that you were running away from the battlefield and you were injured. And the greatest pride of the soldier was all the scars in the front that they had taken in the battle. As much as a modern soldier would say that, yeah, I got shot here, and this is where you can see the scars. So it was like a pride, valor kind of thing. The other reason why the post-traumatic stress syndrome happens among soldiers in the modern context is soldiers with no aptitude to fight are drafted into the army. Now, why they get into the army is a whole other matter, mainly for financial benefit. They're born in poor background. Army is one way to advance in life because they pay for college, they pay for facilities, somehow or other. I have no inclination to fight, but I'm going to enter into army. And when you have that mentality where I have no aptitude to fight, kids, it's not the best thing to do. And as you progress in life, near and earth, you just, pick up your strengths and work on it. That's the best way to kind of lead a satisfying life. Because if you are chasing exclusively for things that define your career, but with no internal aptitude to do it, you will be successful initially, but burn out in the long run. Same like the soldiers. Is that helpful? So,
Yes, Prabhu.
Thank you. Other questions? Krishna. Your good name? Lakshmi. Thank you for coming. Any other questions? Sukeshwari Mataji, Ravi Prabhu, thank you for joining. What a pleasant surprise. I think we are doing something right that we attracted you today. Hari Krishna. So should we read a little bit more of Bhagavad Gita? Did those younger members of the audience get a context on why Bhagavad Gita is being spoken? Now we'll get into this is just setting the scene of what the war was. This was like, you can visualize like about 3.94 million soldiers with the swords and shields and chariots and armies and horses, elephants, everything assembled, ready to fight. The Pandavas had 11 divisions. The Kauravas had 11 divisions. The Pandavas had 7 divisions of armies, and everybody was there. Imagine the 2 armies, the entire army of United States and Russia coming together at one stroke to fight. That is the scene. More questions, comments? Nihar, doing okay? All right, let's continue. Text 21, 22. And you can give the mic to all the newcomers who didn't get, they can read. Starting with Navdeep. Arjuna Uvacha. Oh, for those who don't have the page, it's on page 44, text 21 and 22. And small book, somebody has to tell me what is the number on small book. Small book is also 44? Yes. Excellent. Everybody there? All right. Arjuna Uvacha. Sorry, I couldn't hear anything. Let's try that again. Arjuna Uvacha. Senayorubhayormadye. Ratam Stapayamechyuta. Yavadetan niriksheham. Yoddhukamanavastitan. Kairmaya saha yodhavyam. Asmin rana samudyame.
Arjuna said, O infallible one, please draw my chariot between the two armies so that I may see those present here who desire to fight and with whom I must contend in this great trial of arms.
So if you have 3.94 million soldiers, and you can see there was at least a quarter mile between the two armies, and there was a huge road that you could have, a huge pathway that you can have. And therefore Arjuna is requesting Krishna to drive the chariot in between the two armies. Text 23. Yotyamanam aveksheham. Ya etatra samagataha. Tartarashtrasya durbuddher. Yuddhe priya chikirshavaha.
Let me see those who have come here to fight, wishing to please the evil-minded son of Dhritarashtra.
Thank you. Text 24. Sanjaya Uvacha. Eva mukto hrishikesho. Gudakeshena Bharata. Senayor Ubhayor Madhye. Stapayitva Rathottamam.
Sanjaya said, O descendant of Bharata, having thus been addressed by Arjuna, Lord Krishna drew up the fine chariot in the midst of the armies of both parties.
Thank you. Text 25. Bhishma Drona Pramukataha. Sarvesham cha Mahikshitam. Uvacha Partha Pashyaitan. Samavetan Kuruniti.
In the presence of Bhishma, Drona, and all other chieftains of the world, the Lord said, Just behold, Partha, all the Kurus assembled here.
Okay. Did everybody get a chance? Then we can go back to the youngsters. Text 26. Tatra pashyat stitan partah. Pitrun atapitamahan. Acharyan matulan bhratrin. Putran pautran sakhimstata. Shashuran suhrudaschaiva. Senayor ubhayorapi.
There Arjuna could see, within the midst of the armies of both parties, his father, grandfathers, teachers, maternal uncles, brothers, sons, grandsons, friends, and also his fathers-in-law and well-wishers.
Thank you. Text 27. तान् समीक्ष्य स कौन्तेय सर्वान् बन्धून् अवस्थितान् कृपया परयाविष्टो विषीदन्निदमब्रवीत्.
When the son of Kanti, Arjuna, saw all these different grades of friends and relatives, he became overwhelmed with compassion and spoke thus.
Thank you. Arjuna uvacha दृष्ट्वेमं स्वजनं कृष्ण युयुत्सं समुपस्थितं सीदन्ति मम गात्राणि मुखं च परिशुष्यति.
Arjun said, "My dear Krishna, seeing my friends and relatives present before me in such a fighting spirit, in a fighting spirit, I feel the limbs of my body quivering and my mouth drying up."
Thank you. So imagine there is a police commissioner and he knows that his son, he has, because you're a police commissioner, you've been in the crime business for a very long time, you have some doubts about your own son. You see that it's not going in the right circles, it's not happening. And then somehow or other, you actually raid a gambling den. And then there you find your son. You'll be like very conflicted, yes or yes? Or you are like, who cares? What son? Which son? You're the son who changed diapers when he was like baby, for crying out loud. And now you are in the verge of catching him and throwing him in the prison. You have to report him, not report him. You see the conflicting emotions that happen? Arjuna's mind was exactly the same. He knew that his brothers or his cousins were, not the best of intentions. But when you actually fight and you see them on the battle face to face, then you're really conflicted. You're like your heart, because please understand, this is not the soft heartedness. It's like the Super Bowl is going to happen and one team is like, oh man, they're all, I don't want to defeat them. I remember seeing a video clip somewhere. They were two really good friends, and really means thick friends, really thick friends. And they entered into the competition. They've like, they won the semi-finals, whatever, finals, quarterfinals. Then it's a county championship or whatever, and a state championship, I don't remember. And they both entered into the finals. Now they are the opponents in the finals. They are the best of the friends. It seems, what they did, they just said, okay man, this is a tough thing. You are my best friend and I'm your best friend. Now we have to, and that too, it's a wrestling competition. It's not a chess. It's not like some gentle game or something. It's like wrestling. You just really have to push, punch, throw hard, do whatever, whatever do you do in wrestling. Since they said this is a tough situation, they just said, okay, we'll take a toss. Take a coin, put in a toss. Okay, whoever calls correctly, that person is the winner. And it seems what happened, in the fight, one person who was supposed to lost the coin toss, he just fell on the ground like this, and the other person put a finger like this. 1, 2, 3. Yes, this is guy's winner. So you can see how even in the modern context, Arjuna's dilemma is not unwarranted. And you can see his own brothers, his own relatives. And then this fight is not like, okay, you fight, I'll go home, you'll go home. No, this fight, either I will kill you or you will kill me. And my own relatives, you can see how conflicting is that emotion. But let's continue. Questions so far? We'll go to the end of the chapter and then we'll take questions. 29, correct? Is that 29? Yes. Thank you, Sukeshwari Mata. वेपुतश्च शरीरे मे रोमहर्षश्च जायते गाण्डीवं संस्मृते हस्तात् त्वक्चैवा परिदह्यते.
My whole body is trembling, my hair is standing on end, My bow Gandhi is slipping from my hand, and my skin is burning.
Thank you. Text 30. न च शक्नोम्यवस्थातुम् भ्रमतीव च मे मनः निमित्तानि च पश्यामि विपरीतानि केशव.
I am now unable to stand here any longer. I am forgetting myself and my mind is reeling. I see only causes of misfortune, O Krishna, killer of the Kesi demon.
Thank you. Text 31. न च श्रेयोनुपश्यामि हत्वा स्वजनमाहवे न काङ्क्षे विजयं कृष्ण न च राज्यं सुखानि च.
I do not see how any good can come from killing my own kinsmen in this battle, nor can I, my dear Krishna, desire any subsequent victory, kingdom, or happiness.
Thank you. किं नो राज्येन गोविन्द किं भोगैर्जीवितेन वा येषामर्थकाङ्क्षितं नो राज्यं भोगै sorry राज्यं भोगैर्सुखानि च त इमेव वस्थिता युद्धे प्राणां त्यक्त्वा धनानि च आचार्या पितरः पुत्राः तथैव च पितामहः मातुला श्वशुरा पौत्राः शाला सम्बन्धिनस्तथा एतान्न हन्तुमिच्छामि ज्ञतोऽपि मधुसूदन अपि त्रैलोक्यराज्यस्य हेतो किं न मही कृते निहत्य धार्तराष्ट्रान्नः का प्रीति स्यात् जनार्दन.
O Govinda, of what avail to us are a kingdom, happiness, or even life itself, when all those for whom we may desire them are now errand on this battlefield? O Madhusudana, when teachers, fathers, sons, grandfathers, maternal uncles, fathers in law, grandsons, brothers in law, and other relatives are ready to give up their lives and properties and are standing before me, why should I wish to kill them, even though they might otherwise kill me? O maintainer of all living entities, I am not prepared to fight with them, even in exchange for the three worlds, let alone this earth. What pleasure will we derive from killing the sons of Dhritarashtra?
So you can see Arjuna's thinking here on why he refuses to fight. The first thing is he says that everybody thinks from their perspective. Everybody thinks from their angle of vision. Here, what pleasure will we get? Which means Arjuna is saying, what's in for me? How can I be happy killing my own kinsman? It's a fair question to ask. Let's do a little bit more and see what is Arjuna's thought process going on here. 36, correct? Everybody there? Good. पापमेवाश्रयेदस्मान् हत्वैतान् आततायिनः तस्मान्नार्ह वयं हन्तुं धार्तराष्ट्रान् स्वबान्धवान् स्वजनं हि कथं हत्वा सुखिनः श्याम माधव.
Sin will overcome us if we slay such aggressors. Therefore, it is not proper for us to kill the sons of Dhritarashtra and our friends. What should we gain, O Krishna, husband of the goddess of fortune? And how could we be happy by killing our own kinsmen?
Thank you. Uh, so one point here is, the next reason is fear of sin. It's an important aspect of it which is lost in modern context. But Aditi Mataji had a point, a question, a comment. Yes.
Fear and doubt that we have in our daily life, a bunch of things. If you could help me understand how that aligns with the way we live our lives today, how all the feelings that Arjuna are feeling, I think we feel that way too. But if you could just align it with how we feel
Yeah.
and the circumstances we have, because we go through all these doubts and fear every day.
Yeah. It's a good point that you brought up. So is it just Aditi Mataji undergoing doubts and fears, or do we also have some doubts and fears? We are like every day so confident, so fearless every single day. And the next day, or is it like every day morning you get up, you have doubts? Whether to, for students, it's like which courses to take. And in the office, like, what projects to take that can give me the maximum benefit. Or for the business, which business deal I should do, right? So please understand that, especially for those who are coming today the first time, it's like, why am I wasting my time reading Bhagavad Gita? It happened 5,000 years ago. Arjuna had to fight his family members. He had to solve a problem. What do I do now? Tell me about some machine learning and artificial intelligence that can help solve my problems. Right? I mean, this is a natural question, but please understand that all these the challenges that we face are there in Bhagavad Gita, and Krishna is targeting Arjuna for instruction, but he's delivering the whole world, because we all face the same problems, doubts, desires, fears. These are all that arise in us. And please be guaranteed that if you are in this material world, you are subject to this. There is no doubt about it. And Bhagavad Gita actually teaches us on how to face this. When you read Bhagavad Gita, you get the internal strength to kind of see. Let's go with the example. Let's go with the example of the police commissioner arresting the son. Does anybody remember that? Now, and then that person is conflicted. If I turn my son over to the authorities, my son will go to jail. And I have seen jails from this side, not that side. And my son will see the jail from that side. How should I do that? Or should I just bury the evidence, and make sure they'll let my son go? And then all these conflicting emotions is coming. And then if I let my son go, then am I doing my duty properly? And then, because in the movie section of life, and let's go with the dramatic thing. And then that police commissioner will capture his son, and I don't know what to do, and he's driving in the police van. And that criminal, going the Mission Impossible style, he'll take out the mask. And he's actually a criminal, not his son. What will happen to the police commissioner? Right? Yes or yes? So in the same way, the Bhagavad Gita actually tells us that we are not who we think we are. When we pull off our own mask, then what reveals is a different persona of ourselves. And that persona is eternal. Just like a person who is in the temporary situation of life, he thinks that I am this particular body and this particular thing. You are carried away by the doubts that happen because of that. So let's read a little bit more, and then we come to that. And then in the second chapter, yes, Mataji. Akanksha. Yes.
I have a question regarding this. Like, as you said, yeah, as you said that what will the commissioner do, and everything. But my question is like, we are always living in an artificial world. We don't want to show our normal selves. If my son is doing something wrong, I want to live in a society. I want to portray myself what others want me
Mm.
to behave in. Because first of all, if I do that, what you said, it will be a question mark on my bringing up of children. It will be question mark on my profession, and it will be a question mark later on. Once if I show my normal self, I will be boycotted from the society. So it's a chain reaction.
Mm.
One act will not be awarded, I will be kind of boycotted from the society in one way or the other, and so would my children be. So how do we bring that strength? How do we, what do we do to basically elevate ourselves and like have that um like to stay what we are?
Mm.
Not all of us have that much of, we vibrate at a very low level. So how do we bring that energy? If we work hard on ourselves, but we cannot make sure that the society or our surroundings or our family members or our co-workers, they would understand what we are trying to do, whichever profession we are in, whichever setting we are in, whichever country we are in. So how do we survive, uh, coping up with all this? What is the first step we need to teach our children? Like, if we say, be yourself, be good, be kind, always do the right thing. But what if they ask us, mom, but we don't face the same thing? If I don't hide this aspect, I will be,
Mm.
boycotted or going forward, as they become adults. How do we bring them, give them that strength that no, like, because they haven't seen life as much. But if they keep facing failures or hardships or from the front, how can we still bring them strength that we can't say, okay, it will take 10, 20 years, but you will be, they'll say, look, my life will be ruined. So what would you suggest, in such a thing? Because it's a big lesson, what you just said, like, showing our normal selves or not. Because how many of us has the strength to have a friend who's a failure, or to have a partner who's a failure, or have a family member who has some kind of, by the society, a black mark? How many of us are confident to move in society and take them along? That's my question. Thank you.
Okay. Thank you for your question. In the modern society, unfortunately, the standard of success is what you portray. And the other parameter of success in the modern society is how wealthy you are, how much money you could make, how successful you are. Every profession is veering only to one point. That is, how much wealth can you accumulate? Yes or yes? I am driven by the fact that every act of my life is driven by the fact, most of the times, is by wealth. And to portray that aspect, people struggle really hard to kind of get to that place. In Bhagavad Gita, when you say be yourself, you brought up that good point. But when you say be yourself, what is yourself? The first thing is, your and self has to be discovered before the be is applied. So Bhagavad Gita teaches us the fact that we are not the product of what the society imposes upon us. We are not the product of the fact that we are always successful. Bhagavad Gita doesn't teach that. Bhagavad Gita, in fact, says that inevitably there will be ups and downs in life. But so I gave this example, but I'll give the first chapter. Arjuna is talking about his doubts and fears, and then in the second chapter, Krishna actually explains what is the soul or Atma that inhabits every body. I'll give you a simple example before we get into the two technical aspects. Can I feel my hand? If I touch my hand, can I feel it? If somebody pinches me, can I feel it? The fact is that I can perceive a gross form of myself. Now, if I go to Neer and say, Neer, please forgive me, I didn't mean to make any joke. You must be the very super intelligent person. This is just for argument. Suppose if I say, Neer, you are not intelligent. You'll say, what do you mean? I have the SAT scores amazing. Well, can you, here is the glass I'm giving you. Can you fill up this glass with your intelligence? What would be the answer? Well, you cannot fill up a glass with intelligence. But then how do I know you are intelligent? Well, it can perceive it, correct? So intelligence is perceived, but it cannot be seen through my senses. It does exist, deny it. So similarly, Krishna is saying that beyond this body, beyond the sense and the intelligence, there is the soul which is true eternal nature. My body keeps on changing, but soul that I am can change. I'll give a simple example. Avan and Neer and Nihar and Suraj. You were all babies at one point of time, like really toddlers, 3 or 4 years. That anymore? No, because you have changed, but you are still a witness of the fact that you were 5 years old. I was a witness of the fact that I was 5 years old, but I don't have that 20-year-old body with me anymore. But the I has witnessed the transition, yes or yes? Which means the body course that I am just witnessing. So when we come to the fact that my identity is far beyond what I am perceiving right now, then till that point you are bound up by what the world is saying about you. You are bound up by what you are very happy and elated, the world praises you, and you are depressed, ready to really kind of do anything to kind of cope up with the loss of face or with the loss of prestige in the society. People work very hard to maintain that status quo and do everything to avoid anything that brings disrepute into this world. So Bhagavad Gita teaches that as much as you do not want the negative things to come in life, anyway they come of their own accord, yes? COVID is the best example. Everybody tried to avoid, but sooner or later everybody got. In spite of the best efforts, nobody sought out COVID. Everybody avoided COVID, but still you got it. So same way the positive things will come. And the life in a nutshell is this positive and negative experiences that we have to face. And doing it with spiritual dignity, spiritual fortitude, and our integrity, that's what Bhagavad Gita teaches us. And because one of the biggest things, and we see Arjuna is now, he's getting depressed at this point. He says that I don't want to fight. He says that I will not fight even for the exchange of this kingdom. Imagine a person going in the Olympic medal. There are 2 contestants and they have to win that. One, the person says that, this gold medal has no charm. I will not fight this. Can you say that person is depressed or not? So the depression, the problem comes is the people who are depressed, they feel hopeless. There is no end in sight to which I can come out. And it is better to end this all rather than, face this unbearable burden that is on my head. But Bhagavad Gita says, as much as the negative experiences which have come upon you, they will not last as much as the positive experiences. You want to have it forever. Good times, let's have it forever. Nope, it will end, yes or yes. The same way, the negative experiences, Mata, will not. The society might just boycott people or turn against them, but it's just a matter of time before it becomes positive. How many times the people were vilified? I'll tell one example. George W. Bush. I don't usually name names. But during his time, he was derided. He was accused of so many things, of doing wrong, of waging an illegal war. And there were so many, and the personality was such that he couldn't speak a sentence properly. He was just mocked horribly. Now, do the people mock him? No, people consider him a really good president. Yes or yes? At that time, if he said like, oh my God, people are just mocking me and I'll quit as a president, you are not doing your duty. You have to have that spiritual fortitude because things will change. This is just the nature of this world. Unfortunately, sometimes change is uncomfortable. But Bhagavad Gita teaches us, please, to tolerate it. Now we can get into a whole thing. Why should I tolerate? Why the negative things come upon me? Those are all the topics that we can discuss. But at least at the outset, if we have the faith that negative things will come, the two truths, that I cannot avoid negative situations, it will come in life. And if I can tolerate it, they won't last. If you take these two lessons and pull through those without doing something really bad, because I can't cope up with this negative situation. People take to drugs, people drink alcohol, people do all sorts of wild stuff to forget. It's a coping mechanism. I mean, I can't handle it. I just need some outlet. If the student has to study for exam, it's a very uncomfortable situation. Might as well play games, video games, because it suits me. But this is the exact same point Arjuna had. Should I fight this battle or should I not fight this battle? And the arguments he's giving is really strong. Really, really strong arguments he's giving, not from a selfish perspective. He says, now the soldiers will be killed. Now, would you bear with me for a few more verses? Is everybody okay? Is everybody feeling okay to do a few more verses and then we can stop? Because at least let's complete through this chapter. Good? Hey Krishna, Avanish. All right. Please give the mic to Avanish. He didn't get a chance to read. Which verse are we in? Thank you much. Much obliged. 37, 38, we are very close to the end of this chapter. Yadapya Mata, Ankanksha Mata, did it give an answer? Okay. And as the Bhagavad Gita unfolds, guaranteed it will give you that inner strength to tolerate it. Thank you. Yadapyetena pashyanti lobopahata chetasaha kulakshaya kritam dosham mitradrohe chapatakam katam nagneyam asmabhi papadasman nivartitum kulakshaya kritam dosham prapashyadbhir janardana.
Or quarreling with friends, why should we, who can see the crime in destroying a family, engage in these acts of sin?
Thank you. Text 39. Kulakshaye pranashyanti kuladharma sanatanaha dharme nashte kulam kritsnam adharmo bhavatyuta.
With the destruction of the dynasty, the eternal family tradition is vanquished, and thus the rest of the family becomes involved in irreligion.
Thank you. Adharma Bibhavat Krishna Pradushyanti Kulastriyaha Strishu Dushtasu Varshneya Jayate Varna Sankaraha.
With the destruction of the dynasty, the eternal when 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 irreligion is prominent in the family, O Krishna, the women of the family become polluted, and from the degradation of womanhood, O descendant of Vrishni, comes unwanted progeny.
Thank you. Text 41. Sankaro narakayaiva kulagnanam kulasya cha patanti pitaro hyesham lubdapindo dadakriyah. Srivas, did you get a chance to read?
An increase of unwanted population certainly causes hellish life both for the family and those who destroy the family tradition. The ancestors of such corrupt families fall down because the performances for offering them food and water are entirely stopped.
Thank you. Doshair etai kulagnanam varna sankara karakaihi utsyadhyante jati dharma kula dharmascha shashvatah.
By the evil deeds of those who destroyed the family tradition and thus give rise to unwanted children, all kinds of community projects and family welfares are devastated.
Thank you. Utsanna kula dharmanam manushyanam janardhana narake niyatam vaso bhavatityanushruma.
O Krishna, maintainer of the people, I have heard by disciplic succession that those whose family traditions are destroyed dwell always in hell.
Thank you. Text 44. Aho batamahat papam kartum yavasita vayam yadrajya sukhalobhena hantum swajanamudyatah.
Alas, how strange it is that we are preparing to commit greatly sinful acts. Driven by the desire to enjoy royal happiness, we are intent on killing our own kinsmen.
Thank you. Text 45. Yadi mam apratikaram ashastram shastrapanayah dhartarashtrarane hanya tanme kshemataram bhavet.
Better for me if the sons of Dhritarashtra, weapons in hand, were to kill me unarmed and unresisting on the battlefield.
Thank you. Last verse. Sanjaya uvacha evam muktva arjuna sankhye रतोपस्था उपाविशत् विसृज्य सशरं चापं शोकसंविघ्नमानसः
Sanjaya said, Arjuna, having thus spoken on the battlefield, cast aside his bow and arrows and sat down on the chariot, his mind overwhelmed with grief.
Thank you, Mataji. So you can see that Bhagavad Gita was not a philosophical or a very technical dialogue. It's actually an emotional dialogue of a warrior who is supposed to kill the family members, and now he's caught in a dilemma. And please understand that their family was harassed. They were cheated of their kingdom. They were sent to the forest for 12 years. And living in the forest for 12 years, it was because please understand, these were royal opulent. Imagine you living in a palace one day, and next you have to be like a camping in Sequoia National Park for 12 years. It's a tough life. Where will you cook? People actually they go backpacking for a week or something like that. And I heard that, it's tough. Where do you cook? What do you do? But they lived there for 12 years. That didn't hurt them as much as living 1 year in incognito. And for those who are unfamiliar, the terms were that you live 12 years in the forest and 1 year incognito, which means if you are discovered, then it's back to 12 years to forest again. And Arjuna's wife, Draupadi, was disrobed, was humiliated in front of all the assembly. And they were time and again, horribly insulted. And Arjuna, he should be waiting for the opportunity to kill all of them. And Arjuna was the best of the warriors. He could kill single-handedly all the demigods. In fact, he did in the previous encounter. Again, long story in Mahabharata. But the fact that he's considering all the ethical aspects of it, it's how the human life also has a process in decision making. You cannot blindly jump into making decisions without considering the ethical aspects. You just cannot consider, for example, when you start a war, you have to seriously think as a president. You think it's a fun thing to kind of be the president of a country or something like that. But when you start a war, you are taking responsibility for sending the soldiers into battle. It's a very heavy decision to make. When you have to, so Bhagavad Gita has this idea of making decisions in life based on our spiritual and ethical values. Otherwise, if can blindly make decisions, just based on impulse, whatever comes to my mind, I'll just do it, irrespective of deliberating whether it is the right thing to do or the wrong thing to do, whether it is going to help me in the short term or in the long term. This is where the problem comes. So as I said earlier, the coping mechanism. I will do anything. People usually take to substance abuse or alcohol abuse. It's just a way to cope. It's just a way to forget. It's just a way to. Some people might take to binge watching. Right? It's just a way to forget my present existence. And other thing Bhagavad Gita teaches is, no matter which position in life you get to, you will not shake off that feeling. One of the richest persons in India, who has, I will not name names, one of the richest persons in India, who is having the world's most expensive private home of 27 stories, and I will leave it at that. And for those near and the 27 stories are like, there is a couple of stories are just for cars, storing 160 cars, and helipad on the top, and movie theater, and so on and so forth. Imagine like you have a big house, maybe you need 1 servant, 2 servants. They just need mere 600 people to maintain that residence. And that person said that, every week I binge on 2 or 3 Hollywood movies. He said, well, everybody needs some escape in life. He's a teetotaler, very nice person, teetotaler and strict vegetarian. But then he says, everybody needs escape in life. And first time when I heard this, I was like, really? You have everything in life. What are you escaping? You just have to name it, you will get it. You just tell your cook that I need this food for me, and it will be ready in no time. Without you even moving a finger. You have to move your lips. That way things done. You have so much money that you practically don't need to do anything. And then my question was, where are you escaping to? That is exactly Bhagavad Gita says us that no matter what position you are in life, you are a spirit, soul, or Atma, and that escape is this world that we are in is unnatural to who I am. I am placed here, and that escape propensity is there in all social, economic, all age groups. The kids, they want to escape from their house and parents. The employees want to escape office and boss. The rich people want to escape somewhere else, go on a vacation. The poor people want to at least take a hike in the park because they don't have where to. Everybody is in the process of escaping. The question you ask is, what are you escaping from? You may be the most perfect thing because the Bhagavad Gita teaches us deeply to see who we are and what will be giving us the highest lasting happiness. When we don't have that idea, then no matter how much hard you try, there is a source of, it's that nagging feeling that, it's not enough. It's never enough. Not enough in the sense it's not satisfying. That's the word for it. It's not, maybe people are enough, but it's not satisfying. And Bhagavad Gita teaches us, because Arjuna, now with this biggest question of the war looming on his head, to fight or not fight, we get the answers to the highest, the highest authority, and also the deepest answers that we are seeking, how to escape. And Bhagavad Gita actually teaches us the right way to escape. They are telling, surprise, you are a spirit soul. And so Akanksha Mataji, now you are getting an idea of why Bhagavad Gita kind of helps us to fortify our intelligence and our strength. At all levels, this should be, because one of the biggest things, nowadays it's become so much mindfulness. Did anybody hear or just me? Focus, did anybody hear or next me? We are writing articles and books about focus. Because we are so distracted in the modern context, Bhagavad Gita tells us to get that focus back. And if you don't have that focus, nothing can be accomplished. And then Bhagavad Gita also teaches us not to worry about results. That is one of the biggest, biggest fears. When I can be seen as a failure. And I have a question. A person works really hard as a sports person, throughout the life, right from the age when they are 6 or 7 or 8. Their dream is to win the gold medal in Olympics, and they train for it 5, 6, 7 hours at the cost of so many things. No social life, strict diet discipline, and so on and so forth. And you go and win the gold medal. The whole world will applaud you. What if you do it 23 times? And you know the sports person I'm talking about, who won 23 Olympic gold medals. Yeah. There was a documentary that was done by him. It is called The Weight of the Gold. In that, they candidly explain the mental state of these top-class athletes. That the biggest fear they have is, I have trained my whole life for this. what if I don't succeed? Then what am I? I think the biggest fear that, who am I? After all the applause has died from the podium, even if you won or not won, and if you have performed through in front of the world, billions of people watching you, and when that whole thing dies, then who are you? And that gnawing feeling it left, it is a very emotional thing that is mentioned. And Bhagavad Gita teaches us that you are not all these things. When you are paying attention to so much of noise around you, then you are apt to be either happy or sad based on what noise you receive. And Bhagavad Gita says, rise above it. And it's a fact. I've been, and there is something substantial. Otherwise, Sukeshwari Mataji wouldn't be doing it for 30 years now, like me. Any questions? Any comments? Any concerns? Because it's about 8:36. Do you know that it's 8:40 now? Unless somebody, Nihar, please answer the question honestly. Are you hungry? Sure. Honestly, it's okay. Okay, Bhumika, he's like, no, you're never hungry? Oh, okay. Avanish? Okay, I think I should ask little younger people who are like, anyways. Any other questions, comments? Before we stop, we'll have like a 3-minute kirtan. But before we start the kirtan, any questions, any comments, any concerns? Yes.
I want to validate this. So after coming to KC, what has happened is, of course, we want to read Bhagavad Gita every day, but once in a while it happens, and I was wondering if this is with everyone, but you are going through the situation in your life, and you open a page and you actually get your answer.
Yeah.
So if you could just validate that if this is real, because it's just miraculous.
Yeah. So I mean, in the back of the book, we have the list of people who actually read Bhagavad Gita, and they found inspiration in ways that it touched them. So even if you spend few minutes reading Bhagavad Gita, and we have copies, and I have hardbound copies in the car. Those who want a copy to take home, please approach me afterwards. We do not have a dearth of copies. It will spark some newer insights when you read Bhagavad Gita, a newer sense of optimism. Because one of the things is, as I mentioned earlier, there is the people who are depressed, they cannot see the end of the tunnel or the light, and they think the life is going to be like this and might as well end this life and get out of this misery. Did you hear somebody? Or yes, but Bhagavad Gita teaches us the simple thing that nope, it's not, life is not easy. Because you're a spirit soul, you'll be given another body, but you'll have to take the same misery. Might as well ride it out using this body rather than postpone the credit payments in future. If you have a credit card, might as well pay the debt now instead of getting another credit card. And you will see the issue of how you'll get multiple credit cards and just get wrapped up. So with the simple knowledge of Bhagavad Gita actually will give you the strength not to never do that kind of things. Even to think about it, it's not worth it, because you'll come back again and face the same thing. Might as well get this strength and face this life, good or bad, positive or negative, health or sickness, life or death. There is a certain inner strength that you get by connecting to Krishna and Bhagavad Gita. It's a fact. And if you think we modern people are having so many problems, and 100 years ago, people were living very nice lives. Nostalgia is a big thing. Another escape mechanism. Seriously, I have seen people dressed up and live like they were in 60s. It's a nice time to go back. Baba, that time also we had the same problems. 5,000 years ago, we had the same problems. So those problems are not going to go away unless we take to Bhagavad Gita and kind of have that, we develop that inner strength. And we'll get to it more and more as we read. Of course, we cannot complete in one class, but Aditi Mataji, that just help. All right. Any other questions?
One more question, Prabhu. I think I've been one of those people who has been depressed and has resorted to binge watching to get over it. In the moment when you're feeling that things are not going your way, instead of trying to tell yourself, like you have the opportunity to tell yourself that maybe I'm not this person, maybe I shouldn't feel this way, but it's hard to take yourself out of that moment. And something like binge watching takes your focus away from that thing, and maybe 2 hours, 3 hours, or who knows, the whole night later, you realize, well, maybe I was unnecessarily worrying. So maybe if you can help us understand, if it isn't binge watching, but you still want to feel okay in that moment, what should you do?
Thank you. Having said that, having said against, I would say it is the most safest thing to do for the escape mechanism perspective. So exercise, as it is said in any alcoholic beverage advertisement, enjoy responsibly. The binge watching included. Because what happens is that if you are aware that you are watching something to divert your mind and the problem still remains when you come back, it's a different way of looking rather than looking to TV to substitute my problem in life right now, because you will get more depressed because everything is happening perfectly in TV. The person is winning every case. If you are a lawyer, he's getting the most beautiful wife, living in the most opulent mansion, driving the most opulent cars. You will be even more depressed. So word of caveat and caution that sometimes you need to take your mind away, and instead of doing really more horrible substitutes, I'll leave it at that. I will not recommend, but I'll leave it at that. But because in the modern context, it's become so pervasive. For 30 years ago, kids, you won't remember this. If you have to watch a movie, you have to go to a movie theater, buy a ticket. And sometimes it was so much rush in the first day that you couldn't even buy a ticket. Just buying a ticket itself was a movie in your life. Especially if a superstar in India was released, people would just jump onto the counter to get somehow or other grab a ticket. I have a sad story, but I'll tell some other time. So people would go, and they would physically go to some location. They would watch the movie, come back, and maybe that movie was once in 2 months, 3 months, 5 months, whatever. But now, with it is coming onto your hand, it's free, it's picking up anytime you want. So there is that caution I want to advertise to make sure that you don't get off track, and be aware that everything that's happening is unreal. It is rehearsed. It is just something that's not going to help me in the long run. My problem will still remain after I turn off the TV. So better do something about my problem, good or bad. What the world perceives, might perceive, I don't care. Because the reason I say is, each of us are a spirit soul and we are born with our own destiny. 2 brothers, 2 twins, born in the same womb, same mother. One becomes super rich, the other is not so much. There is a destiny aspect. We will talk as we read Bhagavad Gita. The philosophy beautifully unfolds. And then at the end of it, you will be like, yes, now I have the tools and the weapons and the strength to kind of deal with this life. Otherwise, its escape mechanism is inevitable unless you realize who truly you are and how to escape. We need to escape. Please don't get me wrong. We have to escape, but the right method of escape is needed. Otherwise, you will end up very wrong methods of escape and you will still be, stuck before. Is that helpful, Ankit ji? Yes. Okay. Yeah, thank you. Mata, another anything else?
I just want to say that I have I mean, I used to party a lot. I'm a Delhi girl, and I've done that for like 30 plus years of my life. And at the end of that, there was never satisfaction. Always something was missing. And now I have realized, and I've been given this seva to have you over at least once a month. So I feel like this is so satisfying, and it is so fulfilling to talk about higher purpose of life and to always have a higher perspective to everything, that it is really true that when you go out there and you just try to distract yourself because you're trying to have fun, it just leaves you so empty. And the more you go in that direction, the more empty I felt. And it was very bizarre because 2 years ago, before I came to ISKCON, I was like, why am I lost? What I don't have? Because I thought I have everything, but this is Krishna was missing. And only when you come here, you realize, oh my gosh, I'll never be fulfilled unless I can love Krishna. And that is it. So yes, Prabhu, I can relate to so much that you're saying, that there are so many distractions and we think we can have fun and just have fun. Like maybe you're not worried or trying to forget, but that fun is so empty and in everything that you do out there, unless you are here talking about Krishna Katha. And this is my personal experience. And that's what I hope that everybody can get, what I have received from Bhagavad Gita.
Wonderful. Thank you. Thank you, Aditi Mataji, for again hosting this. This is truly inspiring. Anything else? Okay, few minutes, Kirtan. We are there. Everybody is waiting for the best part of today's evening. It will be there. Trust me. Namam Vishnupadaya Krishna Prishtaya Bhutale Srimate Bhaktivedanta Swami Niti Namine Namaste Saraswati Deve Gauravani Pracharine Nirvishesha Shunyavadi Paschatya Deshitarine Jai Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhara Srivas Gaura Bhakta Vrinda. Hare Krishna Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama Hare Rama 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 Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare. Jaya Prabhupada, Jaya Prabhupada, Prabhupada, Jaya Prabhupada. Jaya Guru Deva, Jaya Guru Deva, Guru Deva, Jaya Guru Deva. Nitai Gaura Hari Bol, Hari Bol, Hari Bol, Nitai Gaura Hari Bol. Shri Harinam Sankirtan ki. Thank you so much for coming, and we'll have the best part of the program now. Thank you. Hare Krishna.